Welcome to episode 168 of the Whatnauts review show, where each week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, TV series, anime, comic book, audio drama, all kinds of entertainment. We watch it, read it, listen to it, and then we come back here and we talk about it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson. My regular co-captain, Kyle Springer, is still on vacation. I have a special guest today. My own brother, Jams Wilkinson, is here to talk with me. Hi.
Hello. Hello, sister. Hello, world.
Hello.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, I'm happy you could be here. You've been here before on the review show feed. We did episodes ages ago talking about the movie Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets and the Osamu Tezuka's anime movie Metropolis.
Yeah, you could not have me on for that.
Right. Today we're talking about something with zero sci-fi in it. It is a comic called Check, Please. I'm holding up the physical copy that you lent me to read. It's a comic. It's just a hockey rom-com that's also about baking. I'm excited to talk about that today.
Yeah.
How are you this week, Jams?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm up early for a special recording time, and
yeah,
I'm drinking my coffee, but I have to not drink too much because I need a nap later.
That's fair.
So we have a second recording later tonight. It's kind of a big day.
Yeah. I still need to finish up the episodes for that, but we'll talk about that after the show.
We'll keep our podcast business separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, today we are talking about Check, Please. This comic is by Ngozi Ukazu. I remember reading this on Tumblr in like 2016 or 2017. It started as a web comic, and then I think I heard that it had gotten printed. And you have the 2 graphic novel volumes. That's the entirety of the story. It was wrapped up in 2 volumes. And this is what you wanted to read today. I didn't even know you had also found this thing.
I also didn't know you knew about this comic. I think I was either... So this is clearly like an LGBT-friendly comic. I don't know if I either found it in the LGBT section at a comic shop, if I went to my regular comic shop and they recommended it, or if I found it at the library, which sometimes I'll go and see what's new at the library and what I can pick up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was immediately taken with it and bought the second volume. I think the second volume was kickstarted and had like an overwhelming Kickstart success. So
yeah, somewhere on here it says like this is the most funded for kicks. Most kickstarted, like,
so many kicks.
Comic.
Maybe.
I'm trying to remember where on the book it says this. It went on to be the most funded web comics Kickstarter of all time. Yes.
Not surprising.
Yeah, it's a very, very sweet story, and I think it has a big appeal to a really wide audience.
Yes, absolutely. It's like I said, it's LGBT friendly. It talks a lot about like coming out. Several characters in there are like coming out in there. It talks, about acceptance and about, it's coming of age, how to feel like you're doing good enough. There's a lot of good tones coming out of this, and it's just incredibly very wholesome.
It is. It's so sweet. It was something I was really taken by rereading this thing, and it's to summarize it. It's about a guy named Eric Bittle who comes from a figure skating background, and he goes to college and he decides to try out for the hockey team. I think he had played hockey before, but that wasn't like his main thing. And he's like, well, I want to keep skating. I'll do hockey here. And it's about his life with this hockey team. He's gay and he like comes out to them and they're like, oh yeah, cool. No, yeah, we love you. We love you anyway.
Yeah,
and
Samuel,
like then he gets...
Samuel is actually like one of the more friendly LGBT friendly colleges in, I don't know, I think they border Canada. It's either like upper like USA or it's in Canada. I don't know.
I think it's in Massachusetts.
Oh, it's in Massachusetts. They talk about Canada a lot, so I thought it was like up there.
Well, that's Hockeyville. Well, when one of the characters goes to Harvard, it's remarked on, Harvard is in Boston, it's remarked on that it's not that far away.
That's fair.
I think, right. Yeah, I think they're in Massachusetts. But he goes up there, he's in it's his life in the hockey team, learning to be like a good hockey player, learning these team dynamics. He gets a crush on the captain of the hockey team, who then might go on to like a very exciting NHL career. He's like a hot draft pick for a lot of teams. He's tension about where's he going to go, who's he going to play with, is he going to stay connected to Bitty after graduation. Yeah, it's very sweet. It's just a sweet, there's romance in it. There's wonderful like platonic friendships and team dynamics in it. There's so much pie. His Bitty, his side hobby is that he bakes. Mm-hmm. He plays hockey at school. He also has a vlog, which is mostly about baking and then becomes about hockey and relationship things. But it's still always about baking. It's full of pies.
There's a pie maybe every other chapter. He uses pie as problem solving. It's like, well, I'll just make them pie. Because there's a moment in the book where he moves into the like dorm house, like the house where all the players are living, and he walks into the kitchen, and we cut to some characters talking, and they come back in the kitchen, and he's produced a pie, and they're like, you were in there for like 5 minutes tops. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you.
It's a really fun running motif throughout the book. I like that this is, it's a great sports story. It's a great, like you said, college kind of coming of age, figuring yourself out story. It's a great romance. And it's like full of pastries also. It didn't need to have the pastries, but the pastries being in there adds a wonderful dimension to it.
Yeah, these are very well-rounded characters. It's very wonderful.
The book's funny. There are characters, like I said, I read this in like late 2016, early 2017. And at that point, I think junior year was done. You know, it's divided into freshman through senior years of his undergraduate degree. I don't know if I got to senior year or not. That might have been like where the story was, and then I like read all of it at once and then like forgot to come back to it or something.
You can't, when you read a comic and you find it and you read all of it at once, you either keep going like very studiously or you don't come back for another 2 years. There's no in between.
Right. But like there's been little bits of this story that have stuck with me. Like there's so many really charming characters that I've never forgotten Chowder.
Yeah, Chowder's great.
Very special.
I love Ransom and Holster. They're very good boys. Shitty.
Shitty.
Shitty's the name of a character.
Shitty is the name of a character. You lent me these physical books for me to read. While we were both at our parents' house. You handed them to me, and I gave one of them to Mom because Mom said she wanted to take a look. Like, what's that book you guys are reading? And she flips through it, and she's like, they all have potty mouths. Her mom's a very, very sweet, accepting person of all people, but does not like cursing.
She doesn't.
She will love any person as long as you don't say damn.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
So that being said, I feel like apart from our mom, a lot of people could get into this book. There's a lot of different angles you could grab onto.
Absolutely. It's only 2 volumes, only like condensed into like 4 college years. There is a lot of like bonus content in the back of the books, which is very nice. Oftentimes, 2 of the characters will explain hockey stuff to you because this is a whole world. And there'll also be like a very thick chapter at the end of the book that is just all of Eric Bittle's tweets that he tweets out, which it was a real Twitter account. There is a real Twitter account that ran alongside the webcomic that was in character. And you can go back and you can still see those tweets, and he would interact. The author would interact through Eric Bittle with people on there. It was very nice. And you see all these in the book as well.
Yeah, I read all the back matter. I read like some of the tweets, but there are so many.
There's so many.
Them.
Yeah, I can't say I read them all. I read all the ones that were pertinent to like things I was interested in, and like all the ones with pictures.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Okay, we've talked about our matter at hand, and now before we get into our big discussion, we're going to take a break for a little housekeeping.
We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/The Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today.
And we're back from housekeeping. Thank you to everyone listening who enjoys hearing us. We've got podcasts all over the place. Go to thewhatnauts.com. Is it the whatnautspodcast.com? Kyle always says this part. I don't have it practiced yet.
Kyle, where are you? Say the
Google
podcast.
Kyle, hear us. You can Google us, and we have many podcasts here on the review show. We've had a series of some fun guest episodes while Kyle's on vacation, and he'll be back next week if you're missing your Kyle fix. On the Captain's Log, those have been really fun episodes lately. Again, Kyle's out, me and Alan, Ignacio, Gino. We've been talking a lot about Digimon. We've been talking a lot about what role we would play in a heist. Earlier this week, Alan and I had a big episode about like how you would deal if you had a demon in your house. So listen to that. Let us know what you think about our plans. They're doing stuff over at Crossplay. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure they're doing things that are very exciting. And remember our old friend Reactor Core, which we haven't had anything up in a couple weeks, but that is our place for brand content on brand new, exciting, hot topics. We did a reaction to every episode of Loki. We did Black Widow. Maybe we'll be back again soon for The Suicide Squad. We'll see. You never know what might pop up on that feed. And big thank you to everybody who's on the $5 level on our Patreon. That gets you a special shout out here in the show. So thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam, for always being here as a regular member of the podcast discussion.
Thank you, Sam.
All right. Thanks, Sam. And with that out of the way, now it is time for spoilers. Alan will put in the spoiler sound, and we are now in the spoiler territory. Jams, where would you like to start?
I love that they make Eric Captain. Well, let's start using the nicknames. They all have nicknames. Eric Bittle is Eric Biddy. And by senior year, he's been there for 4 years. He's seen like 2 captains come and go that are both people he respects. And then he's captain, and he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about this. I was too busy. I really like that.
Yeah, it is so much fun to watch this team grow and like get new freshmen coming in every year. Some of them I kind of lose track of because I'm like, oh, it happens every time they get new players. But other ones are really charming. I talked about Chowder. Chowder's one of these new people who joins. You've got Nursey and Dex. I like Tango asking a million questions and just walking around looking concerned. There's every person who's like even in it for just like a couple pages is charming.
It's that moment. I think it's after also at some point Jack Zimmerman, the boy that Biddy loves, they win the Stanley Cup. He goes to go for the Falcons and they win the Stanley Cup, and they have a moment where they kiss on screen after hiding their relationship for months. And it's big. It's bigger than just their lives. People like hockey fans all over the world are like, oh wow, the first like college hockey like gay, like openly gay member. And then it cuts to like months later, and everyone's like, okay, that was a lot, but now we're back to normal. But it's kind of nice because suddenly Bitty is a captain, and he's the open captain in college. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with this. There's so many things. Oh, it's when they're it's when I think it's when I have to pull up the names of the characters. I had this pulled up earlier because I knew I would forget.
Okay.
It's when Kent Parsons comes over to the house. Kent Parsons had a fling with Jack Zimmerman in like their younger years before college. And now he's also like a pro NHL player. There's a little bit of tension there. But he came over to the house to talk to Bitty to like be like, okay, I support your relationship. I don't know how to do this. I'll see you later. And he's like, come on inside. You have to eat pie while you're here. And one of his teammates that he was there with came into the house and talked to one of the people that was living at the house. It's like, I think we're second cousins. And like these background characters are just like getting along and be like, what are you from? What do you do? And they're just like chatting. I love that. I love the amount of detail they put to the background of this world.
And there's such big friendship vibes going on in the background, like with little things like that, like people who are just happen to be in the same place at the same time. Like they'll find something that they can connect on. They'll find some sort of a dynamic.
Yeah, there's
all these characters feel very rich.
There's a lot to like about these characters. Ransom and Holster are two. I think they're the year under Jack. When Bitty joins the team in freshman year, the seniors are Jack Zimmerman and Shitty. Shitty. You don't find out Shitty's real name, and they don't find out until like book 2, maybe senior year. So he's Shitty all this time. He's a senior. Below them, I think, is Ransom and Holster, who are two best friends. And then I don't remember who else is on there, but they're the next like graduating classes.
Yeah, and then Lardo is in their class. Lardo is this like very cute small girl who is the team's manager. And like she'd been like studying abroad when Bitty joined the team, and everybody's just talking about somebody named Lardo who can like drink anybody under the table, is an absolute monster. And so Bitty's picturing this like giant meat wall of a man, and then here walks in this like 5-foot lady like, hey, I'm Lardo.
Yeah, and Shitty is just like Lardo, and like clearly has a very close relationship that grows into them dating by the end of the book, which is very sweet.
I liked that evolution. I liked how slow and quiet and in the background that was. Like, it's not even really confirmed until like Bitty goes to the house they're sharing with Ransom and Holster, and there's just a map of like, here's the layout of the house, and like here's where everybody's room is, and you just see that Shitty and Lardo are sharing a room.
Yeah, like it's very hush hush. They even talk about it when Jack and Bitty come out to them like, hey, we're dating, and then they point at like Shitty and Lardo like, well, huh, and they're like, no, nothing, no. Yeah, it's ignored until it's confirmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, the track of this book, of this series. So like book 1, it's all about, now that we've gushed about stuff, book 1 is all about Bitty coming to this hockey team, falling for Jack Zimmerman, who he says never fall for a straight guy. Jack Zimmerman has a lot of crushing anxiety about succeeding because his dad is like, I think Big Bad Bob Zimmerman is the name they give him. So he has a hockey legacy behind him. So he has a lot of like crippling anxiety that has caused him to like lose it before, and now the hockey world's like, I don't know about this guy. He lost it once. I don't know if he has the chops.
Yeah, I liked Jack's story, and I liked that was something that had already happened to him. Like he's already been through maybe the low point of his life, and we see him when he's getting back up on his feet. Like it seems like maybe when he was out of high school or something. Yeah, I think out of high school. Like he had the opportunity to be drafted by the NHL right out of high school, but he was so nervous about being at like peak performance that he was on a lot of anxiety meds and he overdosed and he had to go to rehab. And then he sort of like lost that hot streak that he was on.
He lost his momentum.
A lot of the attention. Yeah. And then instead of like trying to get back into it or going to like some huge hockey school, he's like, I need something quieter. Let me go to this smaller college in Massachusetts somewhere. And I'll just slowly, steadily like build up good hockey skills there while like taking more time for myself.
Yeah. So Jack is dealing with all of that while he is, I think he's coach captain, or he's team captain 2 years in a row. I think they pick him 2 years in a row. So he's captain and he's like trying to do his best. And meanwhile, Bitty is like, for one, trying to get used to like the hockey world, trying to like find himself. And at the same time, he's like Kim and Jack are kind of trying, like building a back and forth, and eventually becomes a friendship. There's a nice moment in the first book where they're in like the playoffs, so the whole team is on the bus, and you get a lot of bus banter, and they're just all growing beards because they're on the bus.
Yeah.
And that's just a wholesome moment where you see the boys just hanging out, and you can see the friendship blossoming between Bitty and Jack.
Yeah.
Also, everyone in hockey they all nickname each other. This is a real thing. The author of the book, Ngozi, did a lot of hockey research for a previous story about hockey and found herself tumbling into the world of hockey and needing to write another story about it. So this is a real thing in hockey. Players nickname each other. There's a lot of like camaraderie involved with hockey. You can look in the back about all their hockey slang that they use, and it's all real. It's all 100% real.
I like that detail and authenticity with this, that you're really learning about a field that maybe you know nothing about. The hockey angle is what brought me to this in the first place. I was seeing it around Tumblr. It looked cute and romantic, and I liked that. But the fact that it was specifically about hockey made me read it then, as I was dating a boy from Alaska who'd been playing hockey since he was like 3. And I'm like, well, I got to know stuff about hockey now. He wants to take me to hockey games. He wants to take me ice skating. I better read this thing.
Yeah. So yeah, you get the whole like romance with Eric and Jack towards the end of the first book. At the end of the first book, they kiss for the first time. At preview of like no dating, nothing. Jack has just graduated and is going on to his NHL career, and he looks at his dad and his dad is like, "Are you okay? You look like you've forgot something." And he says, "If you need to do anything, you're not going to be back here for a while. Go do what you need to do." And he runs and he finds Bitty still packing to go home, and he kisses him, and he says, "I'll call you." And then the book ends.
Yeah. It's a very good end to that year, and then you pick up with them at the beginning of Bitty's next school year, and he's talking on his vlog, which is the sort of framing device that a lot of these chapters use. He's like, "I'm seeing someone. I'm not going to tell you who it is." Also, he's from Georgia. I don't know if I mentioned that. That's
deeply
very important.
Deeply Southern, and which was also part of his like why he was struggling to come out, because he's got a very strict dad who was his coach in like football. Also, we didn't talk about how like Bitty has a lot of anxiety himself when it comes to checking in hockey, like bumping into each other. If he gets hit once, if he gets nudged, he'll like crumple and like fall and like be like unavailable to the world for a few moments. And Jack was working with him on getting through that anxiety, which was therapeutic for them both and kind of helped build their relationship better.
I think that's a nice journey for his character to have, and that feeds in his background. His dad was a football coach, tried to get his boy to play football when he was little, and he like couldn't stand getting tackled. Like he would pass out. Exactly. And now that he's like, "I love skating, let me do hockey." What do you mean this is also a physical contact sport? I don't want to be like crushed against a wall by all these big like padded up men. No, I'll pass out.
I think there's a moment in the first book where he gets checked and he gets like knocked off his feet, and he's soaring through the air, and he's talking to you, the reader, and he's like, this is why I don't like getting checked. And he like, while he's soaring through the air and about to hit the ice, he's like, if there's a reason I don't like getting checked, it's not like the hit, it's not the impact, it's the time you have in between the fall that really messes me up. And then you see everyone reacting to him fall, and everyone has like a snap, like, oh no, where everyone has like a part of the same thought as they see Biddy hit the ice. And there's just the action scenes in these hockey games are very well produced, and Ngozi did a great job creating all those action scenes in there. There aren't a lot, but when they are there, they are great.
Yeah, even not knowing much about hockey, I got to go to one hockey game. As I understood it, it's basically ice Quidditch. And they really do fight. Like, I thought, like, hockey fighting was like something that had been blown out of proportion. Like, oh, they used to fight a lot in like the 70s, but it's toned down now.
No.
It's really not as violent. No, like I've sat down in my seat for 90 seconds. They're already punching each other. I'm like, I thought this was a myth.
No, they really punch each other and they protect each other. So like if one of you gets like checked wrong, the rest of the team is going to rise up and fight for you. It's very wholesome.
Yeah. The one hockey game was very fun to watch. They're so graceful. They're these graceful battle angels just flying around this ice field.
Yeah. So the book one ends with a kiss. The second book starts, and I thought, okay, second book is going to be all about their like long distance relationship while Biddy is still at Samwell and Jack is fighting for the Falcons, playing for the Falcons.
Yeah.
No. The long distance relationship. No, it's the Falcons.
Okay.
I think Kent Parsons plays for like the Buccaneers or something.
No, he plays for the Aces, the Las Vegas Aces.
Is it Falconers?
I thought I might be wrong.
Well, I can look it up real quick.
It's one syllable. They just call them the Falcons the whole time. It does not matter.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I thought that was going to be the whole book, was them figuring out this long distance thing and maybe trying to do like coming out as a gay NHL player. But they resolved that within like the first 2 chapters. And I was like, oh, okay, wow. So like Biddy or Jack came out to like his parents and they're like, oh yeah, okay. They're like cool with it. His team, the Falcons are cool with it. The Falks. Saying it short like that doesn't feel right. It has a bad mouthfeel to me.
Yeah.
Falks.
It's not as easy to say as it is to just see written down. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, and then we kind of get the struggle of when the like semester ends and it's summer break, like Biddy's mom calling him and like, aren't you gonna come home? He's like, actually, I'm gonna stay with my with Jack. You know Jack. We're gonna stay together, like up here, without telling them that he's in a relationship. And they don't see that he's in a relationship until the big kiss on TV, where Jack and his team win the Stanley Cup, and Biddy rushes to the field, and they have a small moment of Jack like, oh, I could kiss you right now, and Biddy like his eyes open. He's like, then let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's kiss. Let's do it. Let's be out.
Yeah,
I
liked
glorious.
that bit a lot. It's nice to see like this little. You've seen so many like big sweeping kisses like in entertainment. To have this little exchange of, I would like to kiss you. Okay, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Especially such a public kiss like this. They're like, we're both in on it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We both have consent. We both know what this means. Let's do it.
Yeah. And it does have a lot of meaning behind it, but I like that this story is always just about like this one guy trying to figure out himself and figure out this relationship with this man he really loves, and they are aware we're really symbolic to a lot of people. Like, we really have to represent this whole community, all of these people that have been struggling or trying to find themselves or really want to be out there in the world being themselves. And like, they both have to learn to navigate those waters when they're like, all I really wanted to do was kiss my boyfriend and like tell my parents, look, this is my boyfriend that I kiss. They're like, we have to give interviews now. Like who we are has taken on a greater meaning.
Yeah, Bitty, there's a moment where he talks about getting fan mail. People will like send him like mail, like, hey, thank you so much for doing this. This means a whole lot to me as like a still closeted gay person in my community. Like this means a whole lot. There's another big part of the second book where we meet Whiskey, who is a new member of the Samuel hockey team. He kind of joins the team, and he's very quiet, he's very shy, and he doesn't like say a whole lot. But the other people that signed on the team with him, Bully, Tango, and like one of the other kids, I can't remember. Louis, yeah.
The one with the headphones.
Yeah. They are at like a party in the college town that is notorious for always getting like busted up, cops being called, drugs being done. So Bitty at this point being captain is like, and he marches over there and he like stops them from flirting, like, you two out on the porch right now. And like even like the cool bully who is, I think his name is like River or something, River Bullison. It's always a shortened version of their last name. River he's like out on the porch right now, uses their first names, and then he sees in the background, he sees Whiskey like kissing another guy like in like a closeted space, and they share eye contact, and Whiskey runs out and Bitty doesn't get a chance to say anything. So for the next few books, there's a lot of tension between these two characters, as every time Bitty tries to bring up and like apologize and try and connect in some way, Whiskey like ignores him, doesn't say anything, leaves, or like ignores the question altogether. And so there's a lot of tension with this character for like the rest of the book, up until I think it's like pretty like late in the book, maybe the like second to last few chapters, where they're going into the playoffs, into the finals for the Samuel hockey team, and they have a moment like of Whiskey being like, I don't hate you, and it's not like I don't want your support, but I'm not ready. And thank you for not saying anything and respecting my privacy. And it wasn't a moment of like, I need your help to come out. It's like, I don't need you to do anything. I just need you to respect my privacy, which is another very important part of like coming of age, is like being patient with yourself and waiting until you're ready and expecting that of all the people that know about you. And that was just like a really nice resolution moment.
Yeah. This series was good at, as soon as I noticed like, hey, I think this thing is missing, I'd like to see more of it, it would show up.
Yeah.
Like Bitty goes to the school and he says Samuel is one of the most LGBT friendly schools in America. And when he comes out to Shitty's like, oh yeah, people come out to me all the time. This has happened like 8 times over the last month. Yeah, man, it's cool. It's very cool with everybody. And I think Lardo mentions like she hangs out at the house so much because she's like 2 girls in her dorm who are dating each other, and there's a lot of drama. For the longest time, like Bitty and Jack are the only actual queer characters that we have. Yeah. And I was like, if you told me this is a very LGBT like friendly campus, I can see that in the characters, but like I'd like to see a little bit more of that. Like, is there a campus event? Can we get to know the rest of the community at the campus? And then Bitty just goes to, once he's made captain, he goes to like the mixer with other team captains. And then a lot of them are like, oh yeah, nice that you came out. I'm also gay. And I'm like, good, this is what I was looking for. Yeah,
there's like this little group of like team captains when Bitty needs to like, I need to like lean on someone to learn about being a captain because Jack isn't here. And Ransom and Holster are like off with Shitty and Lardo. And he meets these other team captains that are like, oh yeah, we're also mostly like 80% like of the queer community.
Yes.
So we're also kind of a GSA. So
yeah.
So that's kind of nice. But yeah.
Another thing that I had been looking for, like I didn't notice I was missing until I'm in like book 3. I was like, what is Bitty's major? What is he going to school for? Because it talks about one class that he took. he managed to get into a senior history seminar that was like women and food in American history because he loves baking. He like got into that class, but it wasn't clear to me like it is not named any other classes he's taking.
No.
And then we get to senior year and it's a big plot point that it's like, Bitty, you have to write your thesis. And I'm like, finally. Like, I was looking for this thing and the story's like, here it is. Like, it's also like the story is commenting on, it has been kind of missing up until now. It confirms Bitty is an American history major and he's writing this thesis on like evolving Southern baking practices post World War II.
Yeah.
And there's this really fun storyline where the rest of the team are trying to get him to like crack down and write his thesis because like he hasn't been doing it, and his advisor's like, you can't be in the playoffs until you at least turn in a rough draft of it. And he's like, I did turn in a rough draft. And she's like, you gave me a pie, that's not the same. And they like make him stop recreationally baking so that he can focus on writing about baking, and they print up these flyers that say, do not let this bad boy bake.
It's in like Comic Sans. There's sharks on the poster for no reason.
Yeah. You can tell like Chowder probably made this flyer because it's covered in clip art of sharks. And like, it's so perfectly done. I want to spend so much time talking about this singular flyer because like some of the clip art is like blown up too big and it's pixelated. Like one of the sharks has a word bubble that says like, if you see him in any student kitchens, like email the hockey team manager. But it's not a real word bubble. It's like a circle with a line, like a little pointy line drawn to it. He couldn't find the actual word bubble tool.
Here, I got it pulled up.
One flyer is such a... It's so well made, and I really want that printed on aprons. I want aprons that say, do not let this bad boy bake.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Do you know that is the one, because this is a webcomic, but I've been reading it physically, so I'm like, well, I can read a little bit before the show starts. And that was the one chapter I read was that one, because it is just so good. It's two like, it's like two cartoony sharks and then like a realistic shark. And there's like Bit Crush on like the word bubble. So it looks like pixelated. Yeah, it's very, very good. And just there's three of them holding him off while Dex is disconnecting the wires from the oven. And he's like, even if they undo the padlock on the oven, Eric won't be able to do anything, even bagel bites. It's just nice to see the team like rib each other, but at the same time, like, no, Bitty, you have to do this. You're our captain. You have to make it to playoffs. You have to stop baking for 10 minutes and write your thesis. And then the way he gets away with it is he's texting Jack about it, and Jack's like, ha ha ha, they took your oven away. Ha ha ha. And Eric's like, I will lose your number, sir. And Jack says, well, what's your thesis about anyway? You said you already have tons of sources. And so he's like, what's my thesis? Here's my thesis. And he just starts like texting him blocks and blocks and blocks of text. And we cut to Jack's side, and he's like at lunch with other Falcon players. And they're like, dude, your phone's going off a lot. He's like, yeah, I'm tricking Eric into writing his thesis. He's at 2,400 words by now, which is just a very cute and charming, like both like point of their relationship and just like a very wholesome part of the chapter.
Yeah, I like the I will lose your number, sir, because that is kind of how Bitty jokingly addresses Jack. He's always calling him Mr. Zimmerman. Yeah, he's really cute.
Yeah, full knowns. Whereas Jack is always calling him Bitty. He only calls him Eric once, which at the end of the book, he proposes.
Yeah.
And that's the only time we see him say, Eric, would you marry me? Which at the end, this is like the very end of the book, he proposes, Bitty faints, just like he does when he's like checked on the ice. And he wakes up, he's like, it looks,
the
and Jack's like,
proposal is on the ice.
Yeah, they're on center ice because Bitty's saying goodbye.
We have to wear skates when we do this, or it's not real.
Exactly. Then he wakes up and he says yes, and then everyone, Ransom Holster, Shitty Lardo, and everyone that's still on the hockey team come out of the bleachers, like out of like the pit, and like say yeah, yeah, and are cheering for them. And the story ends with like a pickup game between everyone playing hockey.
I love that that's how they immediately celebrate. You're engaged? We gotta play hockey.
It's really sweet.
It's so true.
Yeah. There's also a moment where Eric Biddy wins his team, the Samuel hockey team, wins the playoffs. And the way these hockey boys party, they throw kegsters, which are just legendary. Like every chapter there's a kegster. It's like how they commune with the world. They throw a kegster for everything. There's just a lot of partying, and it's very nice to see. Even when they won like the Stanley Cup, there was just like there was a string of like texts on the page of everyone was like, "Where are you at? I'm coming to the kegster right now. I'm driving up. I don't care. Something's up. A fire just got started. I don't know what happened. The fire department's here."
Yeah, a cigar was dropped into tub juice.
Tub juice it's like jungle juice. I don't know if you've ever experienced the smell at a party.
I've heard of such a thing. I've never been provided it. No.
Typically, it's either someone has a formula in their mind of a mass amount of alcohol that is combined to create a jungle juice or a tub juice, and more often than not, it's just the last remaining flecks and like gallons of like whatever alcohol you've left all in one jug that everyone drinks out of. Yep, that's
like an utterly classless Long Island iced tea.
Absolutely. But yeah, there's so many good moments in the house, and like one of the last moments of the second book is Biddy giving his dibs to Whiskey. Dibs is the house way of being like, hey, you can have my room next semester.
Yeah.
And more often than not, like you have to make like the freshman or whoever work for it. You have to like do all these errands for them or what have you. But Biddy just kind of shakes Whiskey's hands like, you've earned it. And I forget who they make captain. I think Dex.
Dex.
Yeah, Dex gets captain. I thought it'd be Chowder.
Chowder's so enthusiastic, but you got to give it to Dex in that he's very on the ball with things. He's very detail oriented. Dex gets work done.
Yeah. Dex is captain and he gives his dibs to Whiskey, and it's like a nice little moment. The boys are good. The boys are good.
Yeah, they're all great. I talked about how I've remembered Chowder for years. One of my favorite little storylines is that Dex and Nursey are always arguing with each other. Dex is like very uptight. He's very easily frustrated. He just wants things done a certain way. And Nursey's like aggravatingly chill. Yeah. Like one of my favorite bits is that like Nursey will just, even if there's plenty of like benches around campus and like wooden chairs and stuff out there, he's always lounging on a pile of leaves. Like that's how he exists on campus. He's the man. He's like this chill, like poetic man in a pile of leaves, and Dex is like, I can't handle this. I hate him.
Yeah, when they're doing the dibs, they do the dibs for Lardo's room, and they get confused. Like, I thought I was supposed to get dibs. So both Nursey and Dex are both vying for these dibs.
Biddy, like somebody flips a coin and the coin lands upright in a crack in the floor, and they're like, wow, a miracle, truly a sign. You must share this room.
Yeah.
So they're in like a set of bunk beds, and then like Nursey breaks his arm or his leg or something, and so he's stuck in that bed. He's there all the time, and he's driving Dex crazy. So Dex, he has the bottom bunk, and he like builds himself like a little cottage around his bunk bed. He's always like building and fixing things. He just walls himself in, and he has like a tiny door. It's like a little kid's like playhouse.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm never leaving. I can't hear you from down here now.
Yeah. Eventually he gets like fed up and moves to the basement and has like a little bungalow. But yeah. But yeah. Ransom and Holster.
They're great.
They're best friends, and they you can tell Ransom is like Justin Olaronzi from like he's like Nigerian Canadian, and Holster is like Brick Holtz is his last name.
Yeah, like Adam Burke-Holtz.
It
is fun to like do the math and see how they got everybody's nickname from their real name. Like Lardo's given name is Larissa, so she gets to be Lardo. Chowder is like Christopher Chow.
Yeah, there's always a very you're going to have a nickname right away.
Yeah.
Except for Jack, who doesn't get one. But yeah,
Jack's no fun. He's has been and always will be Jack Zimmerman.
Yeah. Sometimes they call him the Zims, but very briefly.
His middle name is Laurent.
Yeah. Oh, don't they give him a nickname in the once he joins the Falcons? Is he like Zimmy or something like that?
Oh yeah, Tater calls him Zimboni.
Zimboni, that's what it is, yeah. But it's like
right,
really only Tater that calls him that.
Yeah, and Tater is this Russian player named Alexei Mashkov, which is how they got to potatoes. Tater's great.
Yeah, I love Tater a lot. I love because when they're like still hiding it from the world. Eric, of course, has all this time been sending like baked goods and like preservatives to Jack. Like he sends him like homemade jam and like homemade like peanut butter, which is like almond butter, and he has like a PBJ like before every game.
Yeah,
and Tate gets a hold of this, and like starts having them make sandwiches for everyone, and then eventually making jam for everyone. And by the time that they come out to the team, Tater is just like, so you don't have a girlfriend? Who's been making the pies? He's been making the pies? Well, I don't care. Keep making pies. This is right? I don't care who you are, which end you are. I need more of this food.
Right, he's so like kind of overbearing. Like Jack will be on the phone, like, "Yeah, I love you," and then Mashov's like, "Ah ha ha, on the phone with your girlfriend, right?"
Yeah.
Oh, Zimboni, and then he's like, and then he does meet Bitty, and he's like, "We joked a lot, but we know you are boy now. We thank you for pies. You're a member of team."
Yeah, they're very accepting of him right away. There's a family day at the NHL. At their like rink, and so like everyone's family is there, everyone's wives are there, and Bitty's there with Jack, and he's just like there like having anxiety, like I don't know what's gonna happen. And we cut to at one point Bitty like playing with another team member's kids, like taking them on a sled around the rink and stuff like that, and they turn to Jack and he's like, "Is he serious about babysitting?" He's like, "Oh, but he's always serious about babysitting." So it's nice that he's like, he's afraid of entering this world, but he's also incredibly going to be very incredibly accepted once he's in it. And it's just very wholesome.
Yeah, I like that there's a lot of like understandable trepidation in this story, but then everybody is so kind. That was something I appreciated, that the characters that you think would be more antagonistic weren't. Like Bitty's got a very strained relationship with his father, but his father is ultimately like, I was hesitant to like call Jack your boyfriend, but I still think I like Jack. I like that you two are in each other's lives. I support that. It's something new I have to get adjusted to, but I don't not want Jack here. I don't not want you to be yourself.
Yeah.
And like even as like sort of strained and awkward and just old dad who doesn't get it that his dad's always like, when he sees them, like they hug each other, like, "I love you, son. I love you, dad." Like he's still open enough to do that. He's got some stuff figured out. He's like on his way to figuring out other things. Talked about like Jack's dad being this huge hockey star and Jack growing up with all of this anxiety. So you'd expect that when you meet Jack's dad, he's like a real hard case, like very strict on Jack, and he isn't. You wonder if maybe he was once and he's worked himself out of that. Kent Parsons, you think, is going to be this absolute recurring jerk, and then he shows up at the end like, "I feel bad about what I did. I could apologize to Jack, but I think Jack doesn't even care that much, and it would be for me and not for him. Yeah. But I needed to tell someone, so Bitty, can I tell you?" Like all of these characters that would be the villains of the piece get diffused. They get softened, which I liked. I liked that there aren't any like hard angles on this story.
No, there's no one to defeat, to like
Yeah.
prove wrong in this. Everyone
Yes.
eventually gets common sense and is like, this is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. There is a moment where Bitty is doing an interview about being, like a captain, about being openly gay. And he is doing this interview and we're cutting back to different moments as he's answering questions. And they talk about, do you ever get like, any anger towards you on the ice? And we do cut to like team members or members of the opposing team while they're in the middle of a game, like giving him like a lot of grief and like giving him like death threats and stuff like that, and like calling him names, and Bitty just like getting like further and further inside his own head while he's playing until Dex saves the day and like checks the guy out of the way. And Bitty's like, thank you for that. He's like, yeah, that guy sucked. I loved doing that. That guy was an asshole.
That was a wonderfully illustrated piece. I like that it's Dex that is chosen to be the person who comes to Bitty's aid, because while everybody in the team is nice, Dex is the least overtly, outwardly kindly. He's always on people's side. He's supportive, but he's supportive in this very sort of snippy way where he's always frustrated about something else. I like that out of all the team members, like that's the one picked to like be in this scene with Bitty. And looking at those little panels of like all these other opposing teammates insulting him, they're like very close-ups on just like little bits of limbs and equipment while they're in the middle of this hockey scuffle. And I looked at it and I'm like, it's not clear if this is an entire team. Maybe this is one person. He just keeps running into one guy over and over again over the course of this game. It's really ambiguous how much time and how many people that series of panels represents. If this was a recurring problem, if it was like there's one guy who was terrible to me during one game and we shut it down. Oh, it's not sure, and you can read it however you need to read it, of a one-off occurrence or a more recurring problem.
Yeah. But yeah. Going back to your like villains kind of thing. The story about his dad like going to spend like Christmas with his dad, with him and Jack.
Yeah.
That's like a whole plot line. There's a whole bunch of chapters about that, because the last time we see his parents is when they're kissing at center ice on like when they win the Stanley Cup. And his mom was like, please come home. I hate that you can't think you can come home here. I honestly don't know how your dad's reacting, but please come home. He still loves you. And he comes home and he's like, okay, I'm gonna be here for as little time as possible. And then he like wakes up and his dad had taken Jack shopping. Like they went to like the hardware store and like come with me while I run errands. And of course he's like, like a winning hockey star now, so they keep getting stops and getting pictures. And they have like a nice little moment with Bitty's dad and Jack of like, I appreciate you and my son, like in the most like broken, like I don't know how to phrase this. I don't want to say the word gay. I'm afraid of that word. So I'm just going to say that I really like you too. And the whole time Bitty is still having like tension with his dad. Like, just say gay, just say relationship. Stop saying your friend Jack. Like just say it what it is. Otherwise I'm going to feel like you don't accept me because you're not accepting my relationship. And I need that more than anything right now. So that's a very nice moment where they're just like talking like back and forth, where it just keeps saying your friend Jack, your friend Jack, your friend Jack, your friend Jack.
Yeah.
And Bitty's like snaps at him like, please say boyfriend. Say boyfriend.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he finally does, and he's like, I support you 100%. You didn't need to worry about me not supporting you. I'm working on myself, and I need to push forward on my own perceptions right now. But yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I like the relation. His mom's a real treat. She's so sweet. And I like that his dad did get to be a more down-to-earth I was expecting him to be harsher. I didn't remember much about meeting his dad from when I first read this book. I'm not sure if I even got there. But I like that when we met his dad, it's like this dad has some things figured out.
Yeah.
He does care about his son. He's just gruff and out of date. He's working on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's several times where his mom comes up to school and he's like, take a picture at the ice. Let's take a picture over here. Let's meet that DILF, Bob Zimmerman, and take a picture with him.
Yes.
Since Biddy's mom meets Bob Zimmerman, she's always asking Biddy, like, tell me about how's Jack, how's Bob, how are they doing? But yeah, his parents are good. Mel, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Would you rather have 1,000 roaches in your house,
or my God,
not know there is a person living in your attic? This is the question that had the team arguing with each other for like a whole day, I think, as they're cutting between them being on like bus time, like arguing with each other, like in like a coffee shop, on the bus, and everyone's like, what team are you on? Are you on Team Roaches or Team Person? And they're both like reasoning with each other, and like Ransom is just like, it's like, I don't even know you people. How would you have that? So
right. Ransom's got like a very clear idea of what he thinks is winning. He's keeping tally. There's like a running motif of Ransom always working on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Like, I made a spreadsheet for us to try and figure out what NHL team Jack should sign to.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Holster's always like, I think we can make a play out of this. Like when the first time Biddy faints, he's like, I think we can make a play out of this. So
right. Yeah, I like that he's like, what are the things that we do and what sort of offenses can we turn them into? Let's get real danger roomy up in here.
Yeah. Yeah. So?
Yeah, I think I would also be on team there's a person secretly living in your house, because if there's always one person. There's rarely ever more than one. But if you got 1,000 cockroaches, there could very easily be 1,000 more.
That's true. If you knew
and
without
like
a doubt that it was
like
1,000
a person
roaches.
living in your a person living in your house may not have any long structural damage to the building itself. I feel like if you have roaches, that speaks ill of the condition of your home as a physical space. Like some inspector's gonna come in and have like, oh, you got to get that fixed up. That's a problem. But I feel like if somebody's just secretly been living in there, it's like, okay, well, we wall that up and it won't happen again. There's nothing wrong with the house.
We're gonna cask him a mozzarella this guy. Don't worry about that.
We're gonna take him out.
We're gonna wall him in there.
Somewhere else. No.
Well, I think it's like the same amount of like psychological damage. I guess the difference is 1,000 roaches. The worst thing you can think is imagine them all swarming you at once. That's the most alarming thing. Like, yeah, and it would be the most psychological damage for that instant. But knowing there's been a person in your house, not knowing if they're like watching you, like what they're doing, like what they've been doing all this time, that's long-lasting psychological damage. Because that's not something you can get out of your head right away after knowing it.
No, I know. I still think about the Babysitter's Club book, The Ghost at Dawn's House, where Dawn discovers that there's a secret passage that leads from her room to a barn on her family property, and somebody could have been traveling back and forth and getting into her room. It is a haunting thought. But I don't know. I feel like
I was thinking of the Treehouse of Horror where they find Bart's brother.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, like Homer and Marge put him up there. It's not like he was like another resident of Springfield who like snuck in and
Bart
started
didn't know.
living in there. See, it opens up so many questions. I understand how they would talk about this for an entire series of bus rides up and down the eastern seaboard.
Yeah. But yeah. I think I want to say I'm Team Roaches, because I feel like what's 1,000 little things that an exterminator can't fix? I can leave
Roaches
my room.
May be big.
Yeah, but if there's only if there's a dead number of 1,000 of them, That's a very easy job for an exterminator, I feel like.
That's
also,
true.
You just leave your house and fumigate it. You can also do that for the person living in your house. You can just leave the house and fumigate it.
Don't kill them. Just get them somewhere. Just get them another residence. I don't know if the roaches need another residence. Not unless they're going to become like showbiz bugs.
No, that's a roach motel. You have to get a very big roach motel.
Let's talk about the art of these books. Sure. I really liked. There's some inventive panel structures going on, especially with how large of a cast there is and how many big conversations there are. Like the after the Falconers win the Stanley Cup, there's like a background patchwork of just all of these photos that people have taken over the celebrations that ensue, covered just like with all of these text bubbles of everybody texting each other, freaking out, trying to plan a party. I think it's shitty that brings up like an old childhood photo of Jack from like when Jack was a baby and his dad had won the Stanley Cup, and so there's a photo of the family with the cup. And it's shitty texting this photo and it just says, "This baby is now a Stanley Cup champion," and it's like the goofiest little baby face.
Yeah. There's also the joke about Jack as a baby pooping in the Stanley Cup. And apparently Bob Zimmerman had won twice and he had done it both times. So he's the only NHL player to win the cup who has pooped in it twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
We live in a cup city. We've had the cup.
We have.
I don't know what's happened to it except for that just like a bunch of guys with dating profiles got their picture taken next to the cup. And they're like, "Look, ladies, I sat next to the cup." And I'm like, I'm not marrying the cup. Stop showing me the cup.
Which has higher merit in a dating profile picture? Next to the Stanley Cup or holding a big fish?
Neither. I guess the cup.
Yeah.
I don't like either. Show me a pleasant picture of you with your grandparents. That I can get in on.
He's a granny's man.
Show me a truly inventive Halloween costume.
Yeah, that's fair.
Show me you making the same pose as a piece of art in a museum. I love that one.
Yeah. Are you listening, men? Folks?
Fellas, tune in.
But yeah, I think the way it works is after you win the Stanley Cup, I'm pretty sure every player gets it for one day where they can go and like take it wherever they want, bring it home, drink out of it, whatever you want to do. They get it for one day. And then it goes to the team. And then usually there's like business opportunities, like businesses want to bring like, the Stanley Cup to their business so people can take pictures. And there's probably a lot of like brand deals and stuff. I don't know. But I know everyone gets it for one day.
I know when St. Louis won it like 2 years ago, it got to go to the Muni. It just came out a curtain call for Footloose. Like, and everybody, the cup.
We did it.
We parade the cup around. We got the band to play Gloria. Hockey celebrations are true. Having not been a part of them, but just living in a city that overall as a conglomerate got to do a hockey celebration, it is good energy.
It is, yeah.
We had a priest, like, the day that we were going to, like, play the final game in the playoffs. My office had, like, a little hockey party, and there was beer there. And I didn't drink any because I'm not a beer person. I like my wine and cocktails. I'm like, there's booze in the office. That's a first. And then we won. I'm like, I wonder if we'll do that again next time we're in the playoffs. Like, maybe it's like a good luck charm.
Yeah, maybe. That is, there's a lot of superstition to that.
Yeah. Plenty of, I liked all the hockey culture in the book, like all the superstition and all of the, there are little comics in the back, little bonus comics. It's Ransom and Holster, like explaining hockey things. And I love the one where they explain hockey butts.
Yeah.
And it's like a little, like, almost like it's a 1950s film strip or something. Like they're talking about this, and then some like 10-year-old kid skates up and says, "But my butt is whack and busted. Are you telling me that if I keep playing hockey, I could have a butt like Jack Zimmerman?" And they're like, "Yes, you can, boy. Never stop believing. Keep playing and you'll grow a prodigious back porch like the rest of us."
Yeah, they're always talking about how good Jack's butt is. and like there's like a shot of them like sneaking in while he's brushing his teeth and looking in the mirror like, and here we have the wild Zimmerman with the biggest butt.
Just standing there in his boxer briefs like, I have to get work done, please. Please go to bed.
Talking about the art of this book, the way Ngozi drew Jack Zimmerman is very handsome. He's got the way he is he's got like, you know, chiseled features because it's comics. It's all angles. His eyes are like sad. They're like droopy eyes. So he's got like tired eyes, but they're like a brilliant like pale blue, which is like bluer than anyone in the comic, which is like a nice way to draw your eye. Like this is the romance interest. But yeah, it is. And whereas Bitty has solid black cartoon eyes, as opposed to everyone else that has like colored eyes. They're like
he
colored
looks like a little
circles. Yeah. Jack is the only one I think that gets pupils too, whereas everyone else has a colored circle for their eye, and Bitty just has solid black cartoon. I'm pretty sure this is the case.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, like
everyone has
got
like
big
solid
colored
color.
circles for eyes.
Yeah,
Jack is special. Jack gets to have pupils. He is so chiseled. He is like, I love a serious, sad man. A serious, sad, handsome man in a story. Just like broad shoulders, serious brow, worried about something. That's a quality love interest.
A big himbo, doesn't realize how cute he is, just doing stupid things.
Please, I have serious business to do. I don't want a pie. Yeah, the character designs, like they're all charming. The real diverse cast, so many different. They're all hockey players. They're all playing the same sport, but they're like physically all cut a little different. Got different features. I love Dex's giant ears and his like freckles, and his face can get all red when he's angry, so he's just all red hair and freckles and red face. He's just completely flushed with frustration.
Holster has this kind of like blonde hair, blue eyes, like big like teeth. Like his teeth are always like a major part of his like character design. And
I
like
love his glasses,
big chin. Yeah, he is like a little. After we meet him, and he's just like, because him and Ransom are just like bros. Like they just like say bro to each other all the time, and it's very clear that they are like the best of friends.
Yes.
And
I think there's a part where there's some gag where I think like maybe it's Dex and Nursey not getting along, and Bitty says something like, well, you can't expect everybody to get along like Ransom and Holster. And then in the background, they're like at a restaurant or at the dining hall or something, and one of them's like, do you want a friendship sundae? Yeah. Like Ransom and Holster high five and like share one sundae together. That's the level they're at.
But yeah, so like they are like introduces these two bros, and then from then on they kind of evolve, and Holster gets like little like tiny like reading glasses for like, because he is actually like a very like smart man, and he's going to college. There's an art.
The glasses indicate that he's smart.
Yeah, well, he also like speaks very eloquently and like explains things very well. Yeah. But it's kind of nice to have that second reveal. Like, actually, he's a very nice young man.
They're all very nice young men.
Yeah. But like later in the book, when they're graduating, because they were co-captains together, everyone like unanimously voted for, and it was a tie for them to be co-captains. And as they're like packing up and leaving to like graduate, it's very like clear how much they care about each other, because Holster and Ransom were arguing. Because Ransom was like, I don't know what I want to do yet, so I'm just going to take a year off and go work at this like tech startup in Boston. And I'll just figure it out a year from then. And Holster's like, you know what you want to do. You're incredible at like mathematics. You could be a doctor if you wanted to. And Ransom's like, I don't know if I want to, so I'm just going to go do this. And Holter's like, you know what? I'll come with you. Like, we'll figure this out together. And they have like a bro moment. And it's just very sweet that they are like, it is that characteristic, like two bros that like, I would die for you. But it is just a very incredibly sweet like friendship.
Yeah, I like that being together is more important to them than any particular career goals that they have.
Yeah. They aren't it's not implied anywhere in the book that they are like gay or like romantically interested in each other. They just like love each other. They're both they're both friends.
Yeah, I love that in a romance story that you can have platonic friendships that are also on the same level of strength as that romance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, character designs are great. I like a lot of the settings in this book are really gorgeous. That hockey rink on Samwell campus with these big windows is a great setting. It's nice to see. Biddy's always vlogging in his room, and you see like little bits of his room change throughout the years. Like he loves Beyonce, and there's always a different Beyonce poster in his room every year that's based on like whatever her album cover was that year, whatever her hot look was. I liked the evolving Beyonce posters as like a little time capsule of real history that was happening.
Yeah, you see him move from like a small little dorm space where you can see both sides of the wall. It's a very small space to like him staying like in like the top floor of the house, and you can see like Samwell pennants behind him, and eventually like Falcon pennants, and like Falcon have overtaken the Samwell pennants.
Yeah. And, like he's got the Georgia flag in there, which is sweet, and like he's got this. This is never spoken of, but he's got this little stuffed rabbit that like sits on his bed.
It's
and
got
like
a
when he
name.
goes to like stay the summer at Jack's, the little rabbit comes with him. And since this used to be a web comic, I think this is the first comic that we've covered on the review show that originated as a web comic, and we're reading it in graphic novel format. And it was like designed for Tumblr, I think. So it's like all the panels are like the same width. They're the width of one Tumblr post. And she's able to do a lot like in that size constraint. There are some really interesting panel layouts, like I said. But yeah, there would frequently it'd be separated by chapters because, you know, these were Tumblr posts once. And then so when there's blank space left over, when one panel ends and there's still space on that page before the next chapter break, there's like a little doodle or there's some little icon in there. It'll be like a pie or a hockey helmet or a jar of jam, or frequently it will be like the little stuffed rabbit, and the little stuffed rabbit is there with like a little falconer scarf on or something like that.
Yeah, it's called Senior Bunny. Is how it's
Senior Bunny.
Yeah, there's a fandom wiki that I'm looking at all the characters on.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it only lists them by their full name, so it's kind of hard to look at because it doesn't have their nicknames on there, which I know them by better. Yeah. Also, Shitty. Let's talk about his name. Did you read it in the back? You don't know?
I didn't get to it. I think whenever they exposed it, like I didn't get to whatever that page in the back matter was.
So yeah, it's in the tweets. And if you
read all of them.
If you read the foreword of the book, it says at the very end of the foreword, and if you want to know Shitty's real name, check the back of the book. And his name is Byron Sterling Knight, aka Shitty.
BS Knight, yeah.
BS Knight, and they harass him about this. Your name is BS Knight? Yeah. It's just very sweet.
Okay.
Shitty is also
great.
He's so wholesome. He's such a good character.
I love that you would think, okay, some college guy named Shitty may be that. Like, he's probably like a real obnoxious, overbearing, poor attitude. You meet him, he's so nice.
Yeah.
You know, he's such a great team player, really takes his role as like one of the elder members of the team very seriously, leads them in a lot of debauchery, but also like, you know, makes sure Biddy feels welcome, watches out for all these freshmen. And then you find out he's going to Harvard Law School.
Yeah.
So to find out that he's not only very nice, but he's also very intelligent is a nice series of I don't know, little twists on his character, on who you think he might have been when you first meet him.
Yeah, his character design when you meet him, he's got like a big bushy mustache, long
full hockey flow,
like long hair, and he's often the head of every kegster. He's there organizing the tub juice. He's like, you know, checking in with like people that are barfing and stuff like that. He's like the most like responsible, reliable, like bro of the adult world, or adult of the bro world.
Adult of the bro world.
Yeah, he's there to be helpful, even if he is just there to party and be loud. He's there to be as helpful as he can. And then he like has to like go up to Lardo like, it's time. My grandparents are coming. Give me the chop. And he eventually like goes from like having a long flow to having like a coiffed like regular like man hair.
Yeah, regular man hair.
Regular man, Lego man hair style. But yeah, Shitty is just overwhelming, just a very wholesome character that, if, you know, would be a great friend in real life, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a benefit to this book. Like, I do want to be friends with all these people. I want to go to Lardo's art show and see all her cool sculptures.
Yeah.
All right, I think we got to start. I know you've got something to do later today, so I think we got to start wrapping it up. Do you have any final thoughts on Check, please?
Go read it. It is, if you want to read it right now, it's on online as a webcomic. I think it's just checkplease.com or checkplease like webcomic or checkpleasecomic.com. It's you can find it online in its entirety. The physical copies are nice. It's just 2 books, 2 volumes.
Yeah.
They're not that expensive. You wouldn't break the bank trying to pick these up.
They're hefty though.
They are hefty.
It's $17. These are dense books. There's so much in these. You gave these to me and I was shocked at how like heavy they are.
Yeah, when
you
I was
get a bang for your buck here. It's a value.
When I was rereading that, I was like, how am I not halfway through the book? Usually when you start reading a book and you get really into it, you check and you're like halfway through, like almost every time. And then I look and I'm like, I'm only like a fifth of the way through. How is there more story? But yeah,
There's a lot of tweets in there.
Yeah, it's true. Very dense book, very dense story. If you are looking for something LGBT friendly, something wholesome, and if you like hockey, it is an absolute must read. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a great way to learn more about hockey if it's something you're barely familiar with. It helped me out a lot trying to impress this boy from Alaska. Yeah, it is a very sweet story. It's so cute. There's a lot of college debauchery. And I think there are some more like sexually explicit conversations that the dudes have that just exist to like juxtapose how nervous Biddy is feeling about coming out to them when they're talking about getting all these girls. But I think other than stuff like that, you could give this to like a teen reader. I think it's good for, you know, maybe to a high school kid who's, you know, whether they're interested in hockey, whether they're the part of a queer community, or whether they just like comics. It's just very solid as a piece of comic. Like reading the author bio, Ngozi Ukazu got a master's degree in sequential art and comics, and I think it shows. It's very well constructed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, anybody but our mom may love it.
I look forward to what Ngozi does in the future. I will read anything she does at this point.
This is a very strong showing. All right. We have been here on the review show for most of this year. We have been playing a little bingo game where Kyle and I made a list of a bunch of media, like storytelling tropes. We each randomly generated we each picked like however many that we really liked and filled out bingo cards. So he and I have different cards with different things on them. He's already gotten one bingo. And I forgot to check with him before he left if I could keep playing bingo while he's gone. I hope he says I can, because this has been a helpful time for me. Last week watching Maniac gave me a lot. And this week I wrote down one thing I put on my bingo sheet was tall guy and small guy are friends. And
I love that too.
Jack and Biddy definitely give us that.
Yeah. Our friends are friends to the end.
Yeah. Which I said is like a starting point. I wrote tall guy and small guy are friends. Maybe tall guy and small guy are dating. These could be people of any gender. They don't even have to be people. If we have like a giraffe and a hedgehog who are friends, I'm like, I'll put that down.
Yeah.
Just something large and something small that have a camaraderie. That's what I will take. All right. if people like Check Please, what else would you recommend that they check out?
Well, after I loaned these to you, and I felt like, well, I need something else in my life to fill the gap until we record this. I started rewatching Yuri on Ice. It's probably the next best thing I would recommend if you like Check Please. It is queer. It is about ice skating. It's about ice skating finals. It's an anime you can find in either dub or sub. It's only one season for right now. I think they're working on a movie. But yeah, check out Yuri on Ice.
Yeah, I think I saw the first episode or two of that show once, and I did like it. This is me with many animes. Somebody showed me the first episode, and I've never seen the rest of it.
It's a good way to start.
Yeah. I would recommend, if you like pie, definitely watch Pushing Daisies, which is a show I think I've recommended several times already this year, but there's so many angles to grab onto. And mostly I do refer to it in terms of its desserts. Pushing Daisies was a TV show that lasted for 2 seasons in the mid-2000s. And it's about Lee Pace plays a baker who owns a shop called The Pie Hole. And he has the ability to raise the dead if he touches them. And then if he touches them again within a minute, they go back to being dead forever. And if he touches something and it stays alive, he can never touch it again. So like he found his like old childhood sweetheart dead, who she'd been murdered. And he's like, I got to solve her murder. And he wakes her up and then he like can't bear to kill her again. So now she's alive, but he's like, I can never touch you again. And it's a real sweet romance where they have to like put on full beekeeper outfits and then they can like hug each other. They kiss each other through like a sheet of saran wrap. They have to find all of these intimacy hacks without actually touching. And like he will get like rotten fruit and then wake the fruit up. But then like if he puts it in his mouth again, it will turn to rot again. So like he makes all these pies and then he doesn't eat them. It's a very pie-based show. Every episode is a new pie. Also, for baking stuff, I thought I'd shout out one of my favorite baking YouTubers. This is a channel called Preppy Kitchen with John Cannell. And he's preppy. He's just this real nice, friendly, clean-cut guy, has like a cute country house with his husband and their kids. And he just shows you how to bake a bunch of stuff. He's got pies on there, plenty of pies, and also like really great advice for cake baking. I've gotten some of my best cake tips from him. Whenever I want to learn how to bake something new, I always go to Preppy Kitchen, and he never steers me wrong.
Nice.
And then if you like a sports story, this isn't exactly sports, but earlier this year on the review show, we watched The Queen's Gambit, the chess show on Netflix. And I recommend that because it was a compelling introduction to a game I was only surface familiar with, the culture around it, how people view their careers in it and their rivalries with other people. And it's also a story where there are many characters that you think would be more antagonistic than they actually turn out to be. It's a surprisingly warm show where the main character collects all of these allies across her journey, and then they're all very supportive of her. So if you just want like good camaraderie around a sport or game, you could also watch The Queen's Gambit. It feels very different from this otherwise.
Nice.
Okay. Now it's next week's episode. Let's talk about that. Next week. So Kyle's coming back next week, and it will be his turn to pitch something to me. So he sent me his pitches just over text and had me pick one. So next week on the podcast, we will be covering a manga called Princess Jellyfish.
Yes.
We will be reading volumes 1 and 2 of these. He says these are double-sized volumes. Normally with manga, because they're a little shorter, they read a little quicker than Western comics. We might cover 3 or 4 volumes in an episode. We're doing 2 larger volumes. And the plot description is Princess Jellyfish centers on an apartment building where the only tenants are otaku women. No men are allowed. Tsukimi Kurashita has a love of jellyfish that stems from memories of her late mother taking her to an aquarium. and linking the lace-like tendrils of jellyfish to the dresses of princesses. Tsukimi hopes to become an illustrator and is an awkward girl terrified of social interaction, attractive people, and the prospect of formal work. This is another, as I just mentioned, an anime where I think somebody showed me episode 1. And I said, oh, that's cute. And then I didn't think about it again.
I have seen this anime. I've watched it in its entirety. It is very, very good. It's very friendly. And when there's another anime I watched called Smile Down the Runway, which is all about fashion design. And this Princess Jellyfish was a nice something else to like feed that appetite when I was done with Smile Down the Runway. So it's very, very nice about fashion and about how otaku live in Japan. It's very interesting.
Neat. Yeah, I like stories of a person relating to their hobby or a person relating to a form of media. I like media that is about other media and like how people process it. And I remember this being cute from the vague memories I have of it. So I'm excited to read it. It's going to be quite a marathon. I just read a bunch of this and now I'm on to a bunch of other comics. It's just a reading time in my life, I guess. Yeah, interesting pitch from Kyle. Kyle will be back next week and we can talk about that.
Cool.
And this is on Comixology Unlimited. That's where you can get that if you'd like to read along. All right, Jams, thank you so much for joining us again, coming back to the review show to do this episode with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, is there anything that you would like to plug to the people?
Well, if you like the energy that you heard on today's episode, you can get a lot more of it on the podcast that me and my sister do, you and I do.
Right, there's not an additional sister, it's me.
No, it's you. You're the sister. It's the podcast we do is called Saturday Morning Obscurities. You can find us on Twitter at SaturdayMOPod. What we do is we go and we look back on old kid shows that you feel like only you remember, and we'll take 3 episodes of a show that we each decide on, taking turns every episode, and we watch 3 episodes and we kind of walk through that and see how well it fares in today's light. And if you'd like to find me on Twitter, I'm at Jams Wilk.
Nice. Yeah, you saved me pitching, me plugging Saturday Morning Obscurities at the end of every episode. It is a lot of fun to do. Covered a variety of things we remember from when we were kids, things that predated us from the 80s. Like, we know the Name Kid video. What is it? Let's watch it and find out for the first time. We do some episodes, we call them Saturday Morning Giants, that are about something that is far from obscure. We did one on Jackie Chan Adventures, and there's another popular Cartoon Network show that we know we're going to do later this year that we have yet to record. Yeah, check us out there, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. That's WilkyWit. That's the end. That's the end of the episode, Jams. We've made it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
Goodbye.